Welcome to APTN National News. I'm Dennis Ward. Prime Minister Mark Carney is set to be in Calgary on Thursday. And sources say he and Alberta Premier Danielle Smith will sign a so-called Memorandum of Understanding on a new pipeline to BC's coast. It may also involve an exemption to a federal ban on oil tankers along British Columbia's coast. The Premier of BC, David Eby, says it's unacceptable that his province was excluded in proposed pipeline talks. A pro-development First Nations group is supporting a potential new pipeline to the West Coast, saying it's a way to drive economic reconciliation.
If it is going to be taxpayer funded, that British Columbia get access to a $50 billion federally funded project as well.
Eby says he spoke with Carney on Monday and demanded that First Nations in the region be at the table for any talks on a pipeline. Earlier today, CTV News spoke to one chief who is in favor of the pipeline.
Oil tankers have been passing the coast of BC for the last, 50 years.
Still in BC, where the hunt for the grizzly bear who attacked multiple people continues. APTN's Tina House has more.
It's been nearly a week since 11 people, mostly children, were attacked by a mother grizzly bear near Bella Coola, and the hunt for the bear continues. Deputy Chief Kirsten Milton says 4 people were flown to Vancouver for treatment in hospital.
We know that they're still receiving medical care. We're just giving space for the families to give their own updates. They've asked us not to do that for them, so we've just offered them support and help in any way we can, especially when they return as well.
Chief Sam Schooner says his community is still reeling from the attack.
We're surrounded by bears. We shared the territory with the bears for, thousands and thousands of years, and like Kirsten had mentioned that these instances rarely happened with our people, but probably one of the highest densities of grizzly bears, but not only grizzly bears, black bears, cougars, wolves, wolverines, you name it, we have it.
Roseanne Mack is the grandmother of one of the children that was medevaced to Vancouver.
She has a fractured shoulder, fractured elbow, and a fractured ankle. Ankle and arm will have to have pins put in them.
Meanwhile, the hunt continues for the grizzly mother and her 2 cubs. The community shelter-in-place order is still in effect.
8 conservation officers have been deployed to the site with a focus on finding out what happened, as well as capturing the offending bear. We are investigating the site, collecting physical evidence and evidence that could be used for forensic needs to match the bear in question. Capture mitigation techniques have been set to capture and evaluate the bear in question.
We get daily updates from the conservation officers and RCMP, but at this moment they still have all their additional resources within the territory, and they're still looking for the bear, so we're just giving them the space to do that. Without having any interference or putting anybody else in danger.
Chief Schooner says he's grateful everyone survived and thankful for all the first responders, including community members who raced in to take the children out of harm's way.
To watch it all come together and to have the outcome that we have, that our heroes stepped up like they did, and the stories that still continue to come in is nothing short of a miracle, but instills pride in, for me in my community. We know what we have in our people.
Officials continue to warn the public about being careful and prepared while outdoors. Tina House, APTN National News, Vancouver.
Author Thomas King says he is not Indigenous after an investigation into his ancestry. King is the author of books including 2012's The Inconvenient Indian, a curious account of Native people in North America. The 82-year-old says he made an effort this year to find his origin after he learned about the rumors questioning his heritage. And that brought him to a U.S. group called the Tribal Alliance Against Frauds. The investigation found he had no Cherokee heritage despite believing that he did while growing up. King says he did not purposely pretend to have Indigenous roots. Manitoba RCMP are warning the public about the dangers and life-threatening consequences of thin ice after 2 people drowned in 2 separate incidents in northern Manitoba over the weekend. The first incident happened on Saturday at around 1:20 a.m. Norway House RCMP received a report that a person fell through the ice on the Nelson River in Kinnisawa-Sipi Cree Nation. The emergency crews located a female who could be seen lying on her back on the ice with her feet still in the water. Fearing the ice could break underneath her, crews had to use a log to rescue both the 72-year-old woman and a firefighter. The woman was taken to hospital with signs of hypothermia. She said she was walking on the ice with a 44-year-old man who fell through. On Sunday evening, the man was located deceased. And then on Sunday, this time around 1:20 a.m., Cross Lake RCMP were told that a set of footprints were found leading to open water in Pimachikamak Cree Nation. With the help of a drone, the body was located and recovered from the water. A 47-year-old man was pronounced deceased. The investigation for both incidents continues this week. A parliamentary committee continues to study Indigenous policing and public safety. On Monday afternoon, the Committee on Indigenous and Northern Affairs heard from a number of witnesses, including Lloyd Yu of the Turtle Island Private Investigators, Chief Michael Yellowback on behalf of Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs, and Hilda Anderson-Pierce of National Family and Survivor Circle. In 2020, former Prime Minister Justin Trudeau promised to draft legislation recognizing First Nations policing as an essential service. But this legislation has yet to be introduced, and advocates continue to complain of inadequate sustainable funding. Yellowback told the committee the Assembly of Manitoba Chiefs is disappointed there is little in this year's budget for First Nations policing.
We are concerned and deeply disappointed that there is no commitment in the budget 2025 to invest in First Nation policing or to establish a new First Nation self-administered policing service in Manitoba anywhere in Canada. In Manitoba, there are no standards for delivery of policing and public safety services in First Nations.
The Liberal government is calling its latest funding announcement a move to strengthen Arctic sovereignty and create economic opportunities in the north. Our APTN reporter Charlotte Morton-Jacobs takes a look at what several pots of money could mean for the Northwest Territories.
The Northwest Territories, Yukon and Nunavut are all looking for a piece of the federal budget pie.
I'm announcing the $1 billion for a new Arctic infrastructure fund to support major trade and transportation projects that reinforce our sovereignty, enable regional economic development, and better connect to Northern and Indigenous communities.
Minister of Crown Indigenous Relations and MP for the NWT, Rebecca Alty, is in Yellowknife, revealing more details on parts of the Liberal budget. The $1 million funding is part of the broader Trade Diversification Corridor Fund, aimed to move Canadian products to market and move towards the Liberal government's goal of doubling non-USA exports over the next decade.
The funding is for the more major, so whether it's roads, ports, airports, energy, so the big projects. The funding is spread out over 4 years, but there is some opportunity, I would say, on when that money becomes available, and so to be able to accelerate it or to carry it forward.
But some Indigenous leaders say they're concerned over the exclusion of the NWT in the major project selection so far. National Chief of the Dene Nation, George McKenzie, issued this press release on November 18th, stating concern over the government's promise that First Nations communities would see substantial economic and social benefit from major projects. Minister Alty said these desired NWT major projects still could benefit from various pots of funding.
Tolson, as well as the Mackenzie Valley Highway. Tolson could be considered in the project scope for the Arctic Economic Security Corridor, or it could be considered separate. For the Mackenzie Valley Highway, as it is a highway in just one jurisdiction, it's not the major projects office. What's really needed for Mackenzie Valley Highway is the financing, and so these funds do make that project is eligible for this funding. So
the feds will be opening up the selections process for the $1 billion in funding in the coming weeks. Charlotte Moore-Jacobs, APTN National News, Yellowknife.
Indigenous artists are gathering on the West Coast this week. Details on that and more coming up after the break. Welcome back. Indigenous artists from across Turtle Island are in Vancouver this week for the annual Intertribal Gathering produced by the Indigenous Performing Arts Alliance. Our Ryan Cunningham has more.
The Indigenous Performing Arts Alliance, or IPA, has been advocating for Indigenous performing artists for over 2 decades. Their intertribal gathering is in a different location each year and showcases local and national Indigenous artists. And this year, it's in Vancouver. Cynthia Licker-Sage is the executive director of IPA.
The one thing about the Intertribal Gathering, again, being 20 years since manifestation, it's been really, you can see the growth, especially with Indigenous culture too. So it's been really phenomenal and really excited to be in this wonderful venue tonight.
IPA also hosts a conference for other Indigenous not-for-profits where they strategize on how to fight for a self-sustaining critical mass within the Indigenous performing arts community.
This gathering is an open concept, so we determine what we want to talk about, and then we break off into groups, and then we discuss in smaller groups how to advocate for one another, which is super important.
In 1949, the Canadian government established the Royal Commission on National Development in the Arts, Letters, and Sciences. It was a response to the overwhelming influence of American culture on Canada and the need to bolster a national cultural identity after World War II. It is known as the Massey Report, and it concluded that the government should play a role in developing art, culture, and universities in Canada. There is a section on page 239 called Indian Arts and Crafts, where it says, "This unsatisfactory state of affairs has led some to believe that since the death of true Indian arts is inevitable, Indians should not be encouraged to prolong the existence of arts which, at best, must be artificial and at worst are degenerate. The impact of the white man, with his more advanced civilization and his infinitely superior techniques, resulted in the gradual destruction of the Indian way of life. The Indian arts thus survive only as ghosts or shadows of a dead society. They can never, it is said, regain real form or substance. Indians with creative talent should therefore develop it as other Canadians do, and should receive every encouragement for this purpose. But Indian art, as such, cannot be revived." Thanks to IPA and other arts service organizations, we now have a voice at the federal and provincial levels fighting for Indigenous artists. And this year, they awarded the inaugural Membership Recognition Award to honor the career of musician Sandy Schofield.
Well, I'm going to my grave. I come from a family of musicians for generations upon generations. And so this is what I've inherited. So I'm going to the other side doing this. So it's just my journey. So I suppose it was unexpected, and I'm very happy. I'm happy to be honored and acknowledged, for my life's work, right? Because I certainly have devoted my life to learning my craft.
After 20 years, the Indigenous Performing Arts Alliance continues to support Indigenous artists at all stages of their career. This is Ryan Cunningham with APTN National News, Vancouver.
Thanks, Ryan. Award-winning author, columnist, and university professor Negon Sinclair is our guest on an all-new episode of Face to Face tonight. Sinclair says there are a lot of reasons to feel pessimistic about the world right now, but also believes it's a remarkable time to be an educator.
If you just look around, there's lots of reasons to feel like the world's burning. There's more Indigenous peoples in prisons, murdered, missing Indigenous women and girls, Two-Spirit peoples. There's lots of developments that have been very negative recently in terms of health, homelessness, addictions. But then you get to see this huge opportunity that's taking place, or this huge amount of students who are making it anyways and fighting through all of the different obstacles that our communities are within our communities, the policies, the fact that they still continue to be chronically underfunded schools that many of our people go through, whether that be in cities or on a reserve, and they're making it anyways.
Time now to take a look at one of this week's web poll questions. And we're asking if you are affected by the Indian Act's second generation cutoff. Simple yes or no. You can go to our website, aptnnews.ca/poll to cast your ballot. We're also always looking for your feedback or story ideas. Here's how you can continue that conversation. If you have a story you'd like to share, you can send us an email to news@aptn.ca. To read and watch our stories, you can go to our website. That's aptnnews.ca. You can find us online on your favorite social media sites, including TikTok, YouTube, LinkedIn, and X. Follow APTN News to join the conversation and see our latest stories. A high school football player in Winnipeg has received a prestigious honor. We'll hear from him after the break. Welcome back. Here's a look at your current conditions. Cloudy and 4 for Fredericton, 5 in Halifax. -3 in Kuujjuaq and Nain, 2 below for Happy Valley, Goose Bay. 6 in Montreal, snow and 0 for Chibougamau. +5 in Sault Ste. Marie and Ottawa, 3 in North Bay. Cloudy and 2 in Thunder Bay, -3 in Sioux Lookout. -4 in God's Lake, cloudy, and -6 in Norway House. 2 below in Winnipeg, -4 in Dauphin. -6 in Regina, 7 below in Saskatoon. -5 in Meadow Lake and La Ronge. In northern Alberta, -12 in High Level, 10 below for Fort Chipewyan. -7 in Edmonton, +1 in Lethbridge. 8 in Vancouver, +3 in Kamloops. -1 in Prince George and Smithers. -21 in Old Crow, 19 below in Beaver Creek. -14 in Yellowknife, -15 in Norman Wells. 20 below in Sax Harbor, -17 in Inuvik. -15 in Chesterfield, 20 below in Baker Lake. -19 in Resolute, -23 in Arctic Bay. A high school football player in Winnipeg was officially recognized for his sportsmanship after winning a prestigious scholarship. 17-year-old Hayden Carrier has been awarded the Glenn Keeper McWhinney Scholarship for his outstanding achievement both on and off the field as a quarterback for the Elmwood Giants. Only one person wins the $5,000 scholarship each year in honor of its namesake and 1954 Grey Cup champion following his death in 2012. Carrier is active within his local Métis community and has shown great leadership within his football team. Hayden spoke earlier with Creason.
Thanks for joining us, Hayden. What an accomplishment to win the 2025 Glenn Keeper McWhinney Scholarship for your achievement in high school football. Can you tell me a bit about your football journey and your first thoughts were when you heard you won?
Yeah, so my football journey, I started playing football when I was around 7 or 8 years old for the Eastside Eagles football program. And then I found my love for the game after a couple years of playing, I knew it was something I wanted to do. So I ended up joining Elmwood in my grade 9 year and have been a 3-year starter for them at the quarterback position. I think one of my first feelings when I found out that I won the award was just like being able to have the honor of winning such a prestigious award. It really felt that all the years that I've put up to this have meant something truly special. I'm just thankful for the opportunity to have that.
That's so awesome. To be nominated for this is a $5,000 scholarship. A student athlete needed to embody sportsmanship, honesty, courage, and a focus to community. Can you tell us who inspired you to become such a dedicated team player in this sport?
I think that the person who inspired me the most of the people is all of my family. They've always been there to help me along throughout the downs and the highs. Just making sure that they're always there to be like a support for me has been very important for me to be able to grow as a football player.
Shout out to your mom as well, eh?
Yeah, shout out to my mom, definitely. Thank you, Mom.
That's awesome. Part of winning the scholarship meant you got to meet Glenn's son, Jeff, and sit on TSN's Grey Cup panel earlier this month. Can you tell us about that experience?
Oh, it was surreal. Just the environment that it was in, because we were at the U of W Recplex. There was a big thing going on for the Grey Cup weekend that day. And just being there with all the fans there, all of the football lovers, and just being able to speak about something that I love in football, it was a great experience.
What are your plans for this scholarship? Do you have a university picked out, and will you keep playing football?
I'm definitely planning on continuing my career in football. I do not have any current places that I'm already committed to. I'm keeping my options open as of the time being, but I'm definitely looking forward to the options and the opportunities that are coming my way.
The doors are wide open, hey? Lots of big future involved in the future there. Yeah. Before we go, Hayden, is there anything else you'd like to say to your football fans or your other teammates on the Elmwood Giants?
Yeah, I'd like to thank all the coaches and my teammates for everything that they've done to help me. I couldn't be here today if it wasn't for everybody helping me out, all my teammates pushing me at practice, making sure that I can be the best version of myself. And I know that it's bettering the team, it's bettering the community, and it's just, I'm very thankful for everybody that has been with me throughout this journey.
Well, Hayden, we're all very proud of you, and we wish you all the best on your journey ahead, and we'll keep rooting for you. And if you ever have any more updates on your football career, come back down to APTN.
I sure will. Sounds like a plan.
And a huge congrats to Hayden, a future star in the making. It's all the time we have for your first look at the day's news. You can stay up to date with the latest anytime by visiting our website, aptnnews.ca. I'm Dennis Ward, Marcy Miigwech. Thanks for being with us. We'll see you back here tonight at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Have a great afternoon.